Thank you. I just want to first thank everybody for coming out, for all the support. My name is Cozzens. I'm running for Academic Vice President. And if I could just briefly state why I became involved in SUUSA. 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to talk to two different people. One of them was Sam Finley, who introduced me to Jeff Hertig. When I talked with Jeff, he interviewed me for a position to be on his party 2 years ago. And when this happened, I thought I was trying to sell myself to Jeff, but I think in the end he ended up selling himself to me, and it was because of his emphasis on that we're there to serve the students. And that's, if there's anything else I can get out, we're going to get to platforms and different things later, but I think the largest thing that I want to get across is that's why I'm running, is because I believe in serving the students. So thank you.
And describe the single greatest responsibility of an academic vice president. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. Perfect. I would say that if there's one thing that an academic vice president can do, it's to be the voice of the students. The entire Senate is there to be able to represent the students on what they want to see have happen. And so as academic VP, I want to be able to make sure that every student is heard, that we're out seeking the student's voice. The way that this is accomplished is through the senators, I believe. The senators will have a responsibility to go and seek out the student voice from each of the students. And as this happens, being able to represent the students on anything that they want to see happen on campus, what would improve their experience at SUU, is what the academic VP is there for. Anything to improve the students and to be able to hear their voice and make those things happen. Thank you.
Section 2 of the SUUSA Constitution states that one of the purposes of student government is to promote quality education in all aspects of student life. Describe for us your plan to promote quality education across campus if elected. You have 1.5 minutes.
I would have to agree with Tommy on this one. I think that one of the largest things that can happen to increase the quality of education here on campus is to be able to get students' input on everything. I had the opportunity to, in cabinet this last year with my experience in SUUSA, I was able to help out with the My SUU Voice campaign, which was an incredible campaign that McKenna was in charge of, but I was able to assist with a little bit. And looking at the data, and one of the awesome things about this was that we were able to go out and reach out to students and be able to get their input on how we can make SUU better. There's a lot of different groups on campus as well that are beneficial to reach out to that have special needs. Different minority groups, whether they be veterans or whether they be non-traditional students or transfer students, and being able to reach out to these specific groups is another thing that I want to be able to do to be able to increase the quality of education at SUU, as well as representing the majority of students. But absolutely, seeking out the student voice and making those things happen, and making sure that their voices are heard.
And the question is, what makes you unique from your opponent, and how does this uniqueness better qualify you to be student body president?
Academic vice president.
My apologies, academic president. Unless, hey, surprise, guys.
I appreciate that. No, but okay. So something that makes me a little bit unique from Tommy. Tommy and I both actually have some pretty similar backgrounds. Tommy and I were actually talking about it before we started the debate just now. We've both been involved in multiple different branches within SUUSA. But something that I want to see accomplished this year, if anybody's had the opportunity to go look at my platform online, there are a couple of specific things. One is making sure that every dollar is fought for. I want to be able to make sure that every dollar that I can have an influence on is accounted for, and that we're able to make sure that it's used, each dollar is used to its maximum potential. Another thing that makes my platform a little bit unique is my desire to work with the EDGE program a little bit more. Again, back to the My SUU voice, something that many students are still very concerned with is the EDGE program. Having worked in the EDGE Center as an EDGE mentor, working with Todd Peterson, who runs the EDGE program, I have a relationship there. I want to be able to continue to make sure that the communication between students and between the EDGE program continues to grow, and that we're able to see the changes happen, to make sure that every student finds the program beneficial. If it's going to be required for every student, then every student should be able to see success and benefits from it. The last thing that I want to emphasize is just being able to hear every student and make sure that they're all represented.
This past academic year, students raised many concerns regarding EDGE. Do you believe these concerns were warranted? What changes, if any, would you suggest be made to the EDGE program?
So some of the things that I've noticed with the EDGE program is with a lot of specific groups. Mark, could you raise your hand? Mark is a veteran on campus. He's working on his EDGE project. Veterans is a group of students that has had, especially those in the aviation program, have had a difficult time and have their complaints been warranted. Absolutely. The students, it's the students' education, and they should absolutely be able to voice their concern or disappointment with certain programs on campus. So every student should feel free to be able to make those complaints and be able to give their feedback, to give input. So one of the things is seeking out those groups. Transfer students, non-traditional students is another group that has had different concerns, the veterans. And what I want to see happen is the communication. I want to go get the specific things from those people. What specifically is making your EDGE experience a challenge, and then be able to bring those back to the EDGE program and work with them to make those changes. Another thing that needs to be increased is the number of select tracks. There's select tracks that get people through the EDGE program quicker and also help them to be able to choose an EDGE project. And right now there's a limited amount. It's something that's just started, but I think that we need to go and seek out some more select tracks that can get students EDGE projects that they find beneficial and that they want to do.
If you were to be elected, will you fight to keep EDGE or get rid of it?
I don't think that there's very many students who would argue that education done by experience or by hands-on learning is bad. I think the real question here is whether it can be facilitated through a program. And so what I want to see happen is first we want to, I think for the time being, we need to see if those changes can happen. And so we need to make those changes, and after those changes have been made, then we can come back and I think ask that question at the appropriate time if it can be facilitated through a program. But for the time being, yes, we keep it and we seek out those changes.
In your opinion, what are the two biggest academic challenges facing students here at SUU? And what specific plans will you implement to turn these challenges into opportunities for these students?
So one of them, I'm just going to kind of carry on, I think is the EDGE program. That's, I think, one of the biggest academic challenges that people are having. Too many people are still have complaints about it, and so absolutely that has to be one of the larger concerns. Something that I want to be able to do, I may have mentioned this briefly before, but is to seek out the specifics and not just people complaining about it, but what specifically about the program needs to change. And then to be able to work closely with Todd Peterson to be able to sit in on those meetings and be able to seek out those changes and make sure that the students' voices are heard. As far as other concerns, I don't know that there's another one that stands out largely, but there's been, through the My SUU Voice campaign, there's a number of things. There's not one specifically that stands out more than a lot of others at the moment.
And I felt underrepresented during my time here. What would you do to better represent and accommodate older, non-traditional students? We'll give you 60 seconds for this one.
So in that situation, I would meet with the student, talk to them about their concerns, and I would try to have meetings with similar groups of students so that way they feel included in the process and that way they feel like their voice is being heard. Because as a group, they have a greater voice together rather than separately. So I would try and meet with them more on a regular basis and make them feel like they're more a part of the decision-making process.
Just a few weeks ago, I was sitting down with Bailey Goldthorpe and also Chelsea Buck, and one of the things that they were discussing was how hard it was to track non-traditional students. Without obtaining private information from the university, it's hard to find those students and to be able to identify where they're at. And so I think there's different efforts being made to be able to be able to track those students. But the biggest thing is just sitting down with those students and being able to have those conversations. So we need to be able to find a way to get them together, to be able to hear their concerns, to hear their voices, and to be able to represent them. I would love to be able to sit down, whoever the student was, I'd love to talk with you after and be able to get some specific feedback on how we can improve the experience here at SUU for non-traditional and for transfer students.
Students often leave SUU because we do not offer their major. Is this a problem? If it is, what would you do to correct this situation? 1 minute.
With my experience in business classes, the first thing that comes to mind is supply and demand. I don't think that we can create an entire new program based on, or an entire new major based on 1 or 2 students desiring a major. But if there is enough demand to be able to, I guess, justify creating a new major, then absolutely, then I would agree. We need to seek out the students need to be able to voice their opinion on what they want to graduate in. And if we have the demand, then I would absolutely encourage it. If we don't, then I would not.
University College does not have a senator, even though it has a bachelor's degree. There is, however, a graduate center, which represents all the colleges already represented by the other senators. Are you in favor of creating a senator position for University College? Why or why not? Are you in favor of dissolving the graduate senator position? Why or why not?
I guess I'll start with the graduate senator. So I've had a couple of conversations with different people about the graduate senator situation. And a few years ago, it was run a little bit differently, and it was run through the University College. They had a representative for the graduate students, and then that dissolved, and now it's going to change back to the way it is. I would be curious to look into it more. I haven't. Absolutely, right now we need a graduate senator. Those people need to be represented. Could there be a more beneficial way of doing it? Maybe. I'm not opposed to that. I'm open to those ideas. And I would be curious to look more into it, especially as the year progresses and we're able to see what the graduate senator does. I would love to talk with MK, the current graduate senator, and get her take on it. I've already chatted with Sean, who was the previous graduate senator as well. As far as a university college senator, one of the difficult things about adding a senator is it costs more money. It costs more money to have more senators. As the academic vice president, I would want to be able to represent the students that are in this college, that are in the university college, that are possibly undecided.
Is an issue. For example, in 1991, average GPA for public and private universities was 2.93. As of 2007, the average GPA is now 3.11. Is grade inflation a problem at SUU? Why or why not? And if so, what can be done to combat grade inflation? You have 1 minute each.
So I believe the purpose of grades is to be able to have a measurement of how a student does and how they will perform out in the real world. And so as long as the measurement is done fairly and equally across, then I do not see it as a problem. Whether the grade average has gone up, as long as it's gone up equally for all students, I don't see a problem with it. As it continues to go up, students are able to find additional ways to stand out to their employers or to graduate schools. They find ways to be involved, which is one of the great things about SUU is that we can find different ways to be involved to make ourselves stand out, and so we're not relying just on those grades. But just to go back to the question, I don't see grade inflation as a problem as long as it's done across the board, all teachers are doing it, and then it's done equally throughout all of our courses that I work worked on all year was our digital signage project, which essentially is being able to use TVs for marketing. I think a lot of students have complained about the ability to be able to hear about events and that they want to see our marketing improve. And recently it was approved to be able to get digital signage within the building. I was able to work with a lot of people on campus to be able to do this. I worked through administration. I learned a lot of the hoops you have to jump through to get things approved. It's a long process, but it was a really good experience to be able to work with the different individuals in administration and to be able to get to know them on a personal level, but also to be able to make something happen, to make a difference. Next year we'll have multiple TVs going up in the Student Center, including two 70-inch TVs going on the bridge as you walk into the rotunda. And it's going to improve marketing for clubs, for activities, for athletics. All those different things are going to be more well known and they'll be more well attended because of the digital signage.
All right, we'll close this section of the debate with closing statements from each of the
I was
candidates.
asked this morning on Power 91, I was able to be on there. And somebody brought up the similarities between a lot of the candidates, a lot of their platforms, and a lot of the things they want to see accomplished, which I think speaks volumes to the university that things are going well. But I would just give this one recommendation, and that's to go out and meet the candidates personally. Choose who you think is going to represent your values, not just in our platforms, not just in the few topics that we discussed today, but there's going to be thousands of decisions made throughout the year that are going to impact your experience here at SUU. Meet the candidates and choose the person that you want to be able to represent you on all of these small things that will impact you in a large way. So go out and meet the candidate. Thank you for coming out. I appreciate all the support. And I hope as we give this applause, I'm going to applause for you guys while you guys are applauding for us. So thank you.
I'm here to represent you. I want to bring the student voice into our activities. As a past event director, I have been able to participate with other organizations on campus and bring their ideas into our events as well. As a freshman, I volunteered as an activities coordinator under the lovely Jacob Hamburg as my event director. And in this position, I hope to help students experience more at SUU and be more diverse within the activities, not just in the clubs they are attending.
In your opinion, what is the single greatest characteristic for a VP of activities and why?
The greatest characteristic I see in a vice president of activities is one you can find right now in your current vice president of activities, Miss Kaylee Wayman. She is amazing. The biggest quality I can find is just being open to new ideas. Have open office hours, have students be able to come into your office or meet you in the hallway and say, hey, this is a great activity, or this activity isn't working well. I want to be able to talk to those students and bring their activity ideas into the activities that we plan for the students, because we are spending their student fees to plan these events for them.
Uses thousands of dollars of student fees to put on Halloween on the Halloween event called The Scream. And each year, staff charges the very students whose fees were used to put on the event an admission fee to get in. In your opinion, is it permissible for staff to use student fees to put on an event with the student fees and then charge the students an admission fee?
This Scream is the biggest event that we hold on campus. However, we can use the fees better that we do receive from SUU students. By doing so, we can have more larger scale events, as the same as the Scream, but not charge to those events. However, we will still charge for the Scream because, like Porter said, it is charged throughout the state for their Halloween dances and events, and the money does go back to the students. That is our plan, not to spend it on anything but you as students. And by charging to these events, we are doing just that.
Why can't the same decorations be used each year to cut down costs? What happens to the decorations after the event?
Personally, I agree with this question from students. Why can't we reuse the decorations from these events? Well, the answer is we do. I personally, my event this year was Welcome Back Week, which is Welcome Back to Happiest Place on Earth. For at least 2 of the days, we brought back decorations from the scream, which happened 2 years ago, I believe, which was Shipwreck. And we brought back vlogs that created photo booths for the students to participate in many of our events.
Here, staff spends thousands of dollars taking a few students to NACA conference in a different state. In your opinion, is this trip worth the student fees used to fund it?
Personally, I do not agree that we should be using student fees to send us to NACA. We are 2 hours away from Vegas. We can go find entertainers there. We can go to California and find entertainers there. However, when we go to these conferences, I have not noticed a professional event director at these conferences. For those of you who know, the great Mindy Benson works here at SUU. She is a professional event director and event planner. She's planned multiple events around the world, or around the nation, including Super Bowl halftime shows, concerts, Republican National Convention. I've spoken with her, and I plan to have conferences here in Cedar City with my directors, with her teaching us on how to be great event directors just like her.
Seconds. Name the greatest misconception students have of you.
A big misconception on me is I'm not quiet. You might see me in class and I'll sit in the back of the room and I don't speak up and talk, or I'll be walking in the hall and just keep walking down. But I'm fun, I'm energetic, I like to do things, I like to talk to people, I like to hang out with people. Yes, I am a big Disney fan, but no, I don't do everything Disney. It is a happy place, and I like to make SU a happy place, and that is my goal.
One of the criticisms of STAB is that all its activities are roughly the same and benefit the same group of students. Do you believe this criticism is warranted? What specific plans will you implement to reach a more diverse group of students?
Yes, I do believe that this is warranted, student concern. However, I do plan on changing this as Vice President of Activities. By doing so, a large group on campus is our non-traditional students. I like to reach out to them by implementing a spouse path with the Multicultural Club, sponsoring their powwow, sponsoring LIA, and bringing the culture into the SUU that needs to be shown.
You both worked under Kaylee Wayman, the outgoing VP of Activities. What will you do differently from her to improve STAB?
And Thunder Thursdays are not working. We'll plan movie nights for students that will cost roughly $800 per movie. When we do this, we'll get maybe 50 students to attend or more. I know the Sandlot, having it in different areas was a lot better. So that one costs roughly $8 per student, which is a regular movie ticket. But like Maleficent, who was not very well attended, it costs $13 in student fees per student. So I'd like to revamp Thunder Thursdays, most likely get rid of having 2 activities in a month and having one large-scale, high-quality, something that represents you and will get your money used well. Also, Teamer Connection, I know that it's a struggle with students, and I'd like to work with the administration as soon as our contract is up to have it more available for students and more user-friendly, whether it be clubs or another organization on campus. I think those are what I would like to improve on.
Closing statement, and then we'll go over to Porter.
Thank you. So, in closing, if you look around, you see right here, for example, the U supporters. You look at our shirt, you look at our logo, you see unique, united, ubiquitous. We are all unique. Our event's unique as the Vice President of Activities candidates. You are unique in the things you want to do in your events, in the things you want to do in school and in your life. When we bring our unique ideas together, we can be united. We unite each other in many ways. Being on campus as a school, as a student body, we can be united as a state to bring more funding from the national legislature to the state to give to SUU. And then once we are united as a school, we can be ubiquitous and be everywhere. We can be everywhere at once and supporting everyone and doing anything we can to represent you as students and use your student fees wisely. Thank you for your time.
I'd first like to say that I have the experience of being in being a part of SUUSA. I'm a current club president of VSU on campus, and I'm also a current club president, so I definitely understand the struggles from each side, so that's why I feel like I am a good candidate for this position. Also, I come from a diverse background, so I understand the diversity within clubs, and I understand how it feels for a lot of clubs to want to be a part of a bigger whole, and that's why students join clubs on campus. So I feel that I can maximize and excel in that area as Vice President of Clubs and Student Leadership.
Thank you. What will be your single greatest emphasis or priority if elected as Vice President of Clubs and Student Leadership?
My single greatest accomplishment will be making the clubs branch clubs will be for clubs. It is not for us to throw activities for all clubs because we have an activities branch for that. It will be our job to make it so that clubs can throw events for themselves, and our clubs branch will help support them in those things. We will take their visions and give them the resources to make them flourish. And that's one of the things that I hope to accomplish, along with making leadership skills available to club presidents to make a lot of the things that they need to get done a lot easier.
So Article 3, Section 9 of the SUUSA Constitution states that one of the roles of the SUUSA clubs and the student leadership vice president is to coordinate trainings for recognized student clubs and organizations. If elected, how will you better coordinate training meetings among clubs?
Like president's trainings and ICC meetings are very effective because they offer you a chance to understand the resources that we have on campus. That is a time for us as a club's branch to let you know all the things that you have available to you so your club can fund itself and not rely on SUUSA. Yes, the money is here, but if you want your club to focus just on funding from SUUSA, it's not going to work. So I feel like leadership workshops, ICC meetings, president's trainings will help you get the training that you need to go out and make your club's name known and get the funding you need on your own. And SUUSA will be here just to help you start up. We won't be the ones funding your event, but we will give you the resources to make sure that your events flourish. So I feel like leadership workshops definitely are something that we need to do. A lot of club presidents don't know how to delegate tasks. They don't know time management. They don't know what it takes to communicate with the people in your club or communicate with the people over you. So I feel like that'll help in a lot of different ways.
If elected, what's your specific plan on how to disperse student fees to clubs? In other words, which of the 160 plus clubs that we have on campus should get access to the student fees, in your opinion?
All clubs. There is no reason for no clubs to not be able to have access to the money that your student fees are going to, especially academic and professional clubs. I feel like too many times that merit money is given to these clubs and opportunities that do not pertain to them, as far as tailgating. Academic clubs have no business being in a tailgate because it does not pertain to them. So they need to be able to go about their business because they're organizational clubs and they're very organized. They need to be able to access that funding request so that way they can help themselves flourish from there. And I also believe that funding needs to be dispersed in ways that it does not take time out of club directors' class time. I feel like if we stick to the goals program that I'm planning on implementing, that there will be no need for extra merit money. There will be no need to bribe people to come to our events. There will be no need to bribe people to come to games. That clubs will want to see the things for themselves and they'll be able to do things for themselves.
Does the merit money system work for professional clubs and organizations? Why or why not?
I believe that it doesn't. It doesn't pertain to you, and it doesn't pertain to a lot of clubs, and it doesn't pertain to the students that are in those clubs. You're in those clubs because you like those interests. So if you have nothing, if you have no interest in athletics, you're not going to go to a tailgate because it doesn't pertain to you or your club or anything that you want to accomplish. So making those merit money things does not help you. The goals program that I do implement, that I do plan on implementing, is somewhat the same as Sarah's, but I do believe that it'll help a lot of clubs accomplish their goals and it'll give them steps and it'll help them in different ways as far as the merit money system goes, so that way they can have more merit money options that pertain to them especially.
What makes you unique from your opponent, and how does this uniqueness better qualify you to be Vice President of Student Leadership and Clubs?
That I have been a part of a club for the past 2 years. When I first got to SUU, I became vice president of the BSU, and I had only been here for 2 months. So that shows that I have the leadership qualities that it takes to revamp clubs and make them change in ways that they do not see for themselves. This year I have been elected as a club president, so I understand the struggles of club presidents in dealing with club directors. I'm also a club director, so I understand the bridge and of the communication that needs to happen. So I believe that all the experiences that I have had here at SUU thus far in the order that I have done them have given me the tools, the skills, the understanding, the companionship, the sympathy that all that this position needs, so that way clubs can do what they need to do. And also, I would like to say that I am a diverse student myself. I understand what it feels like to want to be a part of something greater than you. I understand what it feels like to want to be a part of a whole. So I feel like my understanding of that, I can relate to a lot of other students on campus far more than just academics, athletics, sororities and fraternities, professional, academic. I can relate to every single student on that level of wanting to be a part of the bigger whole.
Do you plan on keeping this important? Do you plan on keeping this important event and use it for recruitment?
Yes. Simple as that, yes. Pinkertown Red is awesome. It's great for a lot of clubs to come mingle together. It's great for a lot of students to see what clubs are about. It's a great way for you to showcase all the great things that your club has to offer. So I feel like it needs to stay, and that way it's a great way to start off the school year and getting students involved.
What will you do to get faculty to be more involved in clubs? And then another question with that is, should they be more involved?
I do believe that faculty do need to be more involved with club events. I do think that far as the connection goes to build a gap, SUUSA, we are here to help build that communication between the students and the faculty. So when we bring them to a lot of your events, like, hey, we're having a dinner, especially for the clubs branch, we're having the end of the awards dinner at the end of the year for all the clubs. I believe that it is important that President Wyatt and Jared Tippett are there, so that way you can mingle with them, you can see the faces, and they can see your faces, so they know who their students are, they know what your concerns are, they know what your issues are, and I feel like that'll help a lot in the areas that students feel like faculty doesn't hear them. It'll give you the opportunity to advocate for yourselves, but it'll also give us the opportunity to advocate for you.
Fund transparency is great when clubs know where it is available. How will you make this more easily accessible?
I plan to create a Google Drive for all club presidents to be able to access, so you can see what club fundings we have left, what club fundings we have approved, and everything that we have done thus far. So you can see what is left, how it was used, and you can also in there give us opportunities and comments on where it needs to be used and where you feel like it should be used.
How will you ensure the club's branch spends all of its funding?
With one thing that I believe is excellent that Maddie Day did this year is she gave each week a spending limit. She gave, this is what we can spend this week for funding requests, so that way we maximize all the money we're using. There's no need for us to pay student fees if we're not going to things that benefit us. So I plan on continuing that as well.
You both work with Maddie. Name one thing you would do differently to improve the club's branch.
I believe what I can do differently is director involvement. I believe that too many times presidents and directors don't necessarily communicate, so we don't understand the issues that are lying within clubs, because clubs do not feel that the director that is over their department is benefiting them. I personally do not believe that if you are not a multicultural student, you do not need to be over multicultural clubs, because they cannot advocate to you, nor can they relate to you. I also believe that directors need to be involved with their clubs by going to their events before they can get paid. See the things that your clubs are doing. See why they are so passionate about what they're passionate about, and communicate with them. This will also help in other ways more than just one, by letting students know that SUUSA is here for them and not just for the people who are part of the clique that you also associate with SUUSA.
Clubs on campus, which are in favor of basically diversity is another word for it. How will you support all diversity clubs on campus? You have 30 seconds to respond. We'll begin with Airyn.
I believe that all clubs, along with diverse clubs, have a chance of doing anything. Too many times here on campus in Cedar City at SUU, a lot of students are a part of minorities, And so like they feel like their voices aren't heard, and I believe that giving them a director who is like them, that models them, that shows them who they are, that represents them, can help them. And it'll show them like, hey, you know what, SUU does care about me. They do want to do things that can help me. And I feel like this will give every single diverse club a chance to flourish and not just feel like we're only part of the Multicultural Center and we're not a part of SUUSA. We are a school, we are a whole, and I want to bring that back to here.
Your family.
So why do students need a faculty advisor?
I believe that advisors offer help, guidance, leadership, and experience. Because they're older than us, they have been through a lot of things, and even though that some advisors aren't older than us in age, they're wiser than us. So they can provide us with the knowledge that we may need to get things done, so it can help us a lot in the future and help us progress in a lot of things we want to do.
If elected, will you try to get rid of T-Bird connections? Yes or no? In addition to that, what would you do to replace this system in order to automate the club's branch controller?
In short answer, what I cannot get rid of T-Bird connections until our contract is up. So what I would like to do is make it user-friendly, so that way the directors, when they're here to help you with T-Bird connections. They're here to help you get through it. And then also, once our contract is up, I hope to work together with a lot of different centers that we have on campus, like the Community Engagement Center, Global Engagement Center, and other places on campus that use T-Bird connections. We're all gonna come together and see if we can try out a new system that better benefits all students, and we're gonna try a poll and error as well.
1 minute to give a closing statement, and Airyn, you'll begin, and we'll hear from Sarah.
As a diverse student here on campus, I understand where a lot of you are coming from. I know I keep banking on the fact that it's good to be a part of a whole, but that's what clubs is. We all want to be a part of a whole. That's why we join something that's bigger than us. I know the leadership qualities that it takes. I know the day ins, day outs. I know how to be a leader. I know how to be a follower. I know everything that it takes. So me being in this position, I can provide the leadership skills with all of you, so that way we can all flourish. We can all just become better students overall, and we can take these experiences past the walls of SUU.